What a game. What a moment. The Toronto Blue Jays are headed back to the World Series.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. I don't even know where to start. I have no words. I am blown away by what just happened and what we just witnessed. What a game. What a ride. What a moment for George Springer. I am completely blown away. What a season it's been. We're going to talk about everything. I mean, the Jays heading back to the World Series since 93. The biggest home run since Joe Carter. We're going to get into it all. I mean, Ernie Clement's reaction, Vlad, ALCS MVP. I don't know. You could go down the list. Shane Bieber's start, Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassitt out of the bullpen, the whole ordeal. We have so much to talk about. But the biggest thing is that they're heading back. As always, I'm Brayden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5 Iwasko, Carter First too as well, and our main one at Locked On Jays. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Blue Jays. Hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't already. You guys absolutely have been killing it lately. Big shout out to all of you guys and all the comments lately. You guys have absolutely knocked it out of the park. We're going to do a comment, probably episode of your guys' thoughts heading into the World Series coming up this week. So make sure you guys do get those into us down in the comment section below or on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. But Carter, my man, there was the picture that came out of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Crying and whatever else. And dude, that's how I felt. I told you there aren't too many things that make me cry. It's massive sports moments. And the odd sports movie. That's about it. You know, somebody could be killed in front of me and I don't think I would cry, but seeing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. tearing up and the George Springer home run. I mean, dude, I was like a baby. I was trying to hold it back. And I think we got up and celebrated, jumping up and down with a roommate, Justin, and I couldn't feel my legs. Like I couldn't sit down. I just had to go for a walk because it was that kind of moment. Feelings? I don't know. Where you at in your head? I'm all over the place right now.
Yeah, I don't think I've stopped smiling. It's incredible. What a team. The magical run continues. Like every time that you've been out on this team, there's been so many different times throughout the season where you could have been like at the start of the season, this team's like 4 games below 500, 50 or so games throughout the season. There was a trade deadline where you don't think they might do enough. Even right before the end of the season, 2 weeks ahead, you could lose 6 out of 7. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is it. They're not making the playoff, or sorry, they're not winning the division. They're going to get swept in an AL wild card series." Thought they were going to lose when they were down 2-0. Thought they were going to lose when they were down 3-2. Thought they were going to lose in Game 7. This team does not quit. They do not stop fighting. And let's go, man. Honestly, like I just love to see it. Like you got to be fired up. How can you not be after seeing that? One of the biggest home run in 32 years. George Springer just off a sinker, slightly inside, pimps it. Honestly, barely gets over the wall. I thought it was going to be a lot farther, and it got me a little bit worried as we continued watching it. What a swing. Again, who needs knees? They're overrated anyway. Just incredible moments once again from this baseball team. It's been so much fun to watch this entire season.
Carter, we got to start with the home run. I know we probably should go through this, pitch by pitch almost, but let's start with the home run. I mean, George Springer and his at-bats prior to that one really didn't look fantastic. Yeah, he looked okay, maybe a little bit better than last game, but still, you could tell he was hindered. The knee, getting hit by that pitch obviously affected him. But, it gets to a point in the game where the moment arises and the last thing you're thinking about is how his knee feels, right? He was jumping up in the air after he hit that ball. Like probably with a guy, that's knees like that, probably not the best idea, but there's no holding it back. That's pure adrenaline, pure excitement. And honest to God, it probably couldn't happen to a better guy with the season that George Springer has had. As good as Vladdy has been, he deserves the ALCS MVP. He deserves that. He was fantastic this series, not just this series, but the one against the Yankees as well. George Springer, though, Yeah, dude, it was unbelievable. Like we immediately started talking about Jose Bautista, right? 10 years in between, and you get this moment, and it's sort of what dreams are made out of, right? Like that moment. If George Springer doesn't do this, the Toronto Blue Jays probably lose this game. But instead, a magical run for a magical team continues because of one big swing of the bat. And man, I don't know. I think I'm going to go to bed and I might just leave my phone on replaying the video because I can't get enough of it. I'm going to be in my, I might not, well, I'm not going to sleep for one. For two, if I do, it's just going to be that moment playing in my head on repeat. It's hard for me to put words to it. It was that kind of a feeling.
This season's been very weird for me because we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, but it really hasn't felt like the Toronto Blue Jays are in the moment that they're actually in. Like, it didn't feel like we were in an ALCS. For me, up until this game, Game 7 is where I really started to feel it. It didn't really feel like that. It was, there was everything on the line. In the Game 6, it didn't feel like that they were one game away from elimination. And now I think maybe just hearing the words, the Toronto Blue Jays are in the World Series, I think it's finally starting to hit me a little bit. It's absolutely insane. The third time this Toronto Blue Jays team has ever gone to a World Series. The fourth time an MLB baseball team has ever come back from 0-2 in a series, in a best-of-7 series. Again, this team just continuing to prove the doubters wrong. And what did I say throughout the entire episode? It's a Game 7. There was going to be a big moment. I said, who is it going to be? If the Jays are going to win, they're going to have to score offensively. They're going to have a big moment. And who would have thought? I mean, probably the most obvious one of all time. Maybe you would have thought Vladdy, but with George Springer, with the pedigree, with the experience, with everything going on, arguably the face of the franchise. Again, just a season that has surprised so many people. Just makes a lot of sense. It really just fits the entire feeling of the season that George Springer is the one to send this team off to the World Series.
Yeah, nail on the head, Carter. And you know what? What's crazy to me is George Springer comes up to the dish, and I looked at you, and I said, I think you walk him here. I can't believe they're not walking him here. And you know what? It just hit me that I remembered saying that. And then you said, well, you got Nathan Lucas, and then you might have to deal with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I'm like, oh, that's a fair point. Do you want Vladdy in the biggest moment? But then in the back of my head, I'm like, it's George Springer or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's going to be pick your poison. And they chose wrong. And I don't necessarily believe that that is a managerial complete misstep on their behalf, because it's what do you do? In my head, I think I go and try to force the double play with Nathan Lucas, but I understand why they pitched to George Springer. His at-bats before this really didn't look like he had that power stroke. But again, in certain moments, it doesn't matter. It just comes down to execution and adrenaline and excitement, and that can carry you a long way, and man, did it ever. So I know we've been going on for like 8 minutes just about George Springer, but I mean, what else do you want to, you know what I mean? Like, it's the biggest moment in 30 years. Like, this is just insane, Carter. I'm really just blown away. But what do you think? Do you think that it was a management misstep there, not walking him now? Like, obviously hindsight, I guess, for you, but
I don't think that you can complain about them not walking George Springer. Like, again, Nathan Lucas would come up with the bases loaded, 1 out. Maybe he grounds into a double play, but Nathan Lucas has had his fair share of moments all season long. And even in the playoffs, looking back at the ALDS, where he's come through in those moments. Then say there's a strikeout. Maybe it's a fly ball where he drives it a run. Then you got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming up with a runner in scoring position. Again, depends on the outcome of the other AB. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the most obvious. Like, this is the best hitter in the playoffs right now. Maybe other than Shohei Ohtani, fine. We'll have to talk about that more and more as we continue on with this week. So that's something that we're going to have to look forward to. But Vladdy, like, it's non-negotiable that Vladdy right now is hotter than George Springer. He's been on fire at the plate. Just your ALCS MVP for a reason. I think you have to pitch to George Springer. What they might look at is they took out Brian Wu in that inning. So if you're going to look at a managerial decision, Brian Wu was cruising throughout that inning. Then you put in Edward Bizzardo, who's been very good this entire series. But Justin said it. He actually called it, like, in that at-bat. He said, I don't know. It looks like just his warm-up pitches look like there's some pressure on. You see the first pitch not very close. And Justin's like, hey, this might be a 3-run home run here. I got a good feeling. And then the next pitch, again, the rest is history. But yeah, amazing feeling, amazing call. I mean, amazing moment. Yeah, shout out to George Springer. And he is definitely going to have a lot of fun tonight, as well as every other player, coaching staff member, analytics guy, no matter who it is. And they fully deserve it. Nobody had this team making the World Series other than, one guy on this podcast. So credit to Dal for somehow calling it, seeing what nobody really saw whatsoever. But yeah, unbelievable stuff. And yeah, like, we're going to talk about this, up until Friday, the first game of the World Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Still feels crazy to say it will be on Friday. So we'll have, again, a bunch of previews coming up, things like that. But yeah, we might as well enjoy it now while we can. So it happens the first time in 32 years. Can't say it happens every single day. So yeah, it's a little bit of lost words, just a lot of emotions right now. But yeah, got to feel good watching this Toronto Blue Jays team.
Well, and Carter, we got a lot more to talk about. I mean, we got to talk about just the pitching in general, sort of the, I don't know.
We got to kick off the second series and probably the best news of the
yes,
ALCS.
Well, that's exactly where I was going. A player apparently will make his return to this Toronto Blue Jays lineup for the World Series. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the pitching staff, sort of everything. I mean, we have so much more to cover. So yeah, we'll be right back after this short break, and we're going to talk all about, I don't know, a million things. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know how much I love FanDuel. I made a ton of money this week because I bet on the Blue Jays, and they had some success. I also made a lot of money on football. I made a lot of money on NHL, and it's all available for you guys to do as well. With all those seasons, NFL, NHL, MLB, CFL, all of it being here, FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's $300 of pretty much free play money. Go use it. Go make sure you get that. Win that first $5 bet. Pick a lock. That's what you got to do. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Monarch Money. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can leave a lot of money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life into one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Whether it's budgeting, investing in stocks, maybe you're saving for some World Series tickets that cost an arm and a leg. Hopefully you were saving a little bit longer than, just this week for those. But no matter what it is, to help you with your financial expertise, Monarch Money is there to give you that helping hand. Don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use Locked On MLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarch.com. Just want to say it one more time, monarch.com, code Locked On MLB for half off your first year.
Carter, my man, fans are going wild right now as I pull up, some videos on my phone as we go through this of in the streets of downtown Toronto. It is absolutely ballistic. Congratulations to, all the fans that stuck with this team, not only through last season, which was, we're not going to lie to anybody, a dumpster fire, and to this magical moment that we're at today, that you've been, sitting there watching games, watching this podcast, whatever you have been doing. Congratulations to all of you as well, because what a massive moment from this team. But Carter, I think we got to kick things off with the player that apparently will make his return. A few people have now come out and said this: Shai Davidi, John Morosi, Mitch Bannon, The Athletic.
Bichette said himself. I'm just sorry to spoil it there. But yeah, it's Bichette.
That for me, but that's okay. No, they all went up to Bichette in the game and asked him pretty much, how are you feeling? Are you going to feel good for the World Series? And his answer is, I'll be ready. Straight to the point, straight up. In any capacity that they need me. And I don't necessarily know in what this means. Will it be a pinch hitting scenario? Will he be an everyday player? Will he be the DH? How is this all going to work? We're going to have to dive deeper into this as the week goes on, Carter. But just first reactions to the news that Bichette will possibly be, or apparently will be back. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, for sure confirmation from the organization. But as of right now, that's what he's saying.
To be honest, in my head, when I saw the video of Bichette rounding second base, I kind of mentally put him off to the side. I mentally, in my head, came to terms with, hey, Bichette probably will not be back at any time this year. And then maybe, hopefully, I'll be pleasantly surprised at some point, maybe if they make the World Series. Wasn't fully convinced of that myself, but hey, here we are. So now, very real opportunity that Bichette is back for this World Series. The quote that Keegan Matheson got, I'll just read it out. He says, "I'll be ready. I don't know how they'll use me. I'll be ready." So again, a little bit vague there. That was a little bit interesting because almost alluding to the fact that, if he's fully healthy, he's obviously your shortstop, right? Bichette is going to be in the lineup. The bat's too good to not have this guy in your lineup. But we have seen IKF playing a lot. He has gotten a few nice hits, obviously a few clutch hits. But you'd think with the offensive upside, maybe David Schneider would be in that lineup. So it would be interesting to see if, like, hey, maybe would they move Bichette if he's to second base? If he has limited mobility with the contract stuff illuminating as well, like looming in the wind. I don't know how that will work. So with Bichette, yeah, it looks like he's going to be ready. He said himself that he will be ready. So I'm going to say at least in pinch hitting and, a pinch hit, some sort of, late inning replacement for him, he will be ready. But in terms of like playing shortstop every day, I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be. Luckily for us, that the DH spot, I guess, bittersweet. Anthony Santander not going to be DHing. So maybe Bichette slides there. George Springer can still play right field. But we've seen George Springer play very good baseball when he's in that DHing spot. So, but you're going to get Bichette in the lineup no matter which way you can, whether it is that is just hitting in the DH spot or that is pitch hitting if it's like a big moment in the 8th inning. But it's been a long time. It's been a month. Like it seemed like it was going to be a short-term injury. These things always seemingly take longer than initially reported. But we just got to hope that Bichette can be back. And even if it is just in that pinch hitting capacity, at least we have Bichette in some sort of capacity rather than nothing at all.
Yeah, and Carter, you know what, just talking about Bichette, because, I mean, we're going to get into this way more during this week and sort of how this could work.
Well, a lot more information will obviously be revealed as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. Seeing him and Vlad, the two guys that grew up together, playing together, throughout the minor league careers, and to seeing them, when this team won this game, just hugging it out. Like it was like 40 seconds of those two. The camera was on them, and I'm like, oh, who's Vlad hugging right now for that long? And it turns out it was Bichette, and it's just a heartwarming moment because how much those two together have talked about winning together, and I think it means a little something more for these two specifically. Obviously, with the unknown of what's going to happen and come of the Bichette contract. Yeah, I think they both felt it in that moment that, hey, this is the time, right? Let do everything we can, and it was just a really good moment, Carter.
No, absolutely. And Bichette, like if the Blue Jays do go on to win the World Series, yes, like he will get a ring no matter what. But obviously, if he's in the middle of things, if he's the one contributing in the baseball games, it's probably going to feel a little bit better. Like having those moments, being a part of it, and actually playing in the games, they're going to make you feel like just more accomplished at the end of the day, rather than like sitting on the bench and seeing your teammates do it. Even though Bichette obviously was a massive part of getting this team to this spot that they're in right now. So yeah, you got to be excited. Things are looking up for the Toronto Blue Jays again. You got a juggernaut of opponent in the Los Angeles Dodgers, but the Blue Jays have been proving people wrong this entire season. So again, we'll go way more into that further along in the week. I just wanted to talk about some of the reactions that we got from a lot of these players that, again, for the first time ever, are advancing to the World Series. Because you look at this Toronto Blue Jays roster, and there's not a lot of players that have been to the World Series. Seranthony Dominguez, Max Scherzer, and then obviously George Springer has been there a time or two as well. So not the most experienced of all time. And that was one thing a lot of people talked about going into this playoff run is, hey, Vladdy's 3 for 22, but not a lot of playoff experience. Only wild card experience, no playoff wins. Is that going to impact this team? Clearly it hasn't. Clearly it hasn't whatsoever. This team, again, it just something's been different. Nothing has been able to stop them yet. There's only one more opponent left. That is the Los Angeles Dodgers. But seeing, Vladdy getting emotional after the game pretty much right away, the waterworks started flowing. Kevin Gausman in his interview. Even Max Scherzer almost looked like some waterworks were going to happen. This isn't his first rodeo either. John Schneider, some people, again, maybe he's not painting the best light right now, but I like seeing John Schneider's reactions. Again, these guys have played 162 baseball games of regular season ball, not including the spring training, not including the practicing. Again, these team meetings, the traveling, and then the postseason, the grind that is as well. These guys have spent a lot of time together, a lot of time away from their families, a lot of time grinding in the gym, grinding on the field, putting time and effort into game planning, strategizing, mental preparation, all of that. So, yeah, very worth celebrating. And, yeah, credit to all of these guys for everything that they've done for this baseball team this year. Wild ride, man. I think a lot of people, whether, you're 10 years old watching the Jays, mid-20s like we are, 40 years old, 60 years old, it's crazy how all people can come together across Canada to watch one baseball team, and ride or die and, cry, laugh, cry, have all the emotions of all time when you're watching this team play.
And Carter, that's something I want to bring up, right? Like me and you growing up, or for a lot of people before us, it was the Joe Carter home run, right? Yeah. Everybody that's their moment, right? And then it was, Jose Bautista for people of our generation, right?
Well, then it was Kirk in the triple too. That's in there. There's a couple other ones.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Sure. And then it's, it's this moment now for this generation of young Blue Jays fans that they're going to remember. And to me, I don't know, like, we can sit here and we can break down the stats all we want. We have a week to do that before the game. It's stuff like this that, it makes me remember and have the feeling of why I love this game so much, as a kid. It was watching Jose Bautista and Josh Donaldson and Edwin Encarnacion. And now it's going to be these players for a new generation of Blue Jays fans. The Addison Bargers, the Vladimir Guerrero Juniors, the George Springers, the Alejandro Kirks, the Daulton Varshos. Kids are going to be, when we used to, hit a moonshot in wiffle ball in the backyard, we'd talk about Jose Bautista, or, I'm sure Yankees fans would give a Derek Jeter, or, when the Derek Jeter throw, right? Now it's a whole new ball game for a lot of these kids. And man, it's hard not to be romantic about baseball, my man. And I'm going to use that quote as long as this team keeps going, because it just has felt special. And, to be a little bit of a part of this with this podcast and having, the access to so many Blue Jays fans as we do, and the amount that we get to talk to people, it's made me realize more how important this team is to so many people, and this run specifically. It's just unbelievable.
Well, yeah, the clubhouse is closer than it's ever been. And like, we spend a lot of time watching this ball club. We spend 2.5 hours pretty much every single game. And then now with the postseason, it feels like 4 hours, which, I mean, I can't get enough of it. So I'd rather it go 8 hours if we could. But yeah, it's crazy how this team just has brought the entire country together. We talk about in the playoffs how fans kind of come out of the woodwork. Some people call them bandwagon fans. I mean, at this point, you got baseball. There's a lot. People are busy in their lives. It's 162 games, very tough sport to follow. I completely get it. It's almost impossible, even for us, to watch all 162 with it being in the summer. Again, there's our livelihoods. Yeah, you can't just watch the Toronto Blue Jays every single day when you have weddings, you have family lives, things like that. But everyone seems to come together, and you'll make time for the Toronto Blue Jays in these moments. So yeah, credit to everyone involved for just kind of making it happen. But I wanted to give, while we're giving credit to everybody, celebrating our victory here and our advancing into the World Series, let's give some credit to some guys that have did some things in this game that they're not accustomed to doing. Yeah. The bullpen, let's say there's the circle of trust we talked about in the last episode. It's abysmal. It's at an all-time low. You maybe got 3 guys in that circle of trust. So lucky for the Toronto Blue Jays, they got a new 7th inning guy and a new setup man rolling into town. The sheriff's in town, some will say. The hound on the mound, the 8th inning, absolutely dominant. Kevin Gausman coming in, maybe giving a few people a scare, having 2 walks, and then I think a hit batter an intentional walk to Cal Raleigh. That's what it was as well. So we had a little bit of traffic on the base paths, but credit to them. In big moments, it was always going to be all hands on deck. We saw the Mariners do it in their Game 7 game against the Detroit Tigers. You're in a Game 7 of an ALCS, the most important game in a very long time. In Toronto Blue Jays land, you're going to throw everything you possibly can at the wall. So credit to John Schneider for not going to Brendan Little, not going to Eric Lauer, even though Eric Lauer, again, kind of maybe a ricochet shot there. But Yariel Rodriguez, some of these guys that you don't trust nearly as much as your dogs, as the Chris Bassitt, who's got you to this moment, not even just going back to this year, but going back previously. Kevin Gausman, a guy that has been your hero ace, not just this year, but for years in the past as well. So credit to John Schneider for going to his dogs, going to his starting pitchers, and credit to them for showing up in the big stage.
Yeah, Carter, you know what? The biggest guy, because we know what Kevin Gausman can do. He's been pitching this whole time. To me, it's Chris Bassitt, man. He looked good, and to come out in a completely different role and in a huge moment and do what he did, it was exceptional to watch. And it was electric. I mean, watching the Hound, when we went to the games last year, we got the Hound on the mound bobbleheads. So, of course, our roommate Justin brought his out. He's wearing his Chris Bassitt jersey. It was just a great moment. And then, you know what? For all of the turmoil and all of the ups and downs all season and grief that Jeff Hoffman has gotten these last 2 games, this is why you have that guy. Because he goes in there, cleans up, gets the job done. So hat tips, round of applause, whatever you want to call it, Jeff Hoffman, these last 2 games has been that guy. And that's why he's in that very tight-knit circle of trust right now.
Well, it's not even just the last 2 games. It's honestly been this entire playoffs. Like, going over the numbers with Jeff Hoffman when this bullpen has been paper thin and you needed a guy, especially in high leverage. Jeff Hoffman has been that guy. You're paying him $11 million a year. He has been that guy that has shown up for you in those big moments. A 1.23 ERA in his 6 games, 7.1 innings pitched, 2 saves, 3 hits given up, only 1 earned run, an opponent average of 120, a whip of 0.68. So that's less than 1 runner per inning on base. insane stuff. Struck out the side. I don't care that it's 8-9 and Julio Rodriguez. Horrible swing on that last pitch. Thank God we did not have to see Cal rally. That was my prediction before the inning. I'm like, somehow, some way, you're going to have to beat Cal Raleigh. I believed in Jeff Hoffman, but I just didn't want to have to go there because I already thought I was going to have a heart attack. I didn't want it to get any worse. But yeah, credit to Jeff Hoffman for, asserting his dominance. And again, kind of flexing on the guys once again and sending his team to the World Series.
Yeah, man. It's special. It's special. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to chat a little bit more just about the rest of the offense here. I know we've touched a little bit on George Springer and a little bit on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but a lot of other guys that deserve a little bit of a hat tip as well. So we'll come back. We'll do that again. We have a week worth of content here now to prepare ourselves.
At least 4 more baseball games of the Toronto Blue Jays here in 2025.
So it's a lot more to come yet from us and from this Toronto Blue Jays team. So stick with us. Stay with us after this break. We're going to chat a little bit more before we let you guys go for the evening right after this. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. You guys know how much I love Game Time because I like to know exactly what I'm paying up front. I don't want to have to go to the checkout and be surprised by a fee that I didn't think was part of it. Not with Game Time. They make it easy. There's nothing like catching a game live, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. Takes all the fun out of going to games. It really does. I don't want to do that much work just to get tickets. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. So, Carter, continuing on, like I said, I wanted to give a few more hat tips to a couple of guys. We're going to have lots and lots to talk about. So, again, I'm not going to throw a million things at everybody today. This was more, hey, this is our reaction to the game. This is what we got. Some new information, obviously, with the Bichette stuff. But, Carter, I don't think enough can be said about the Isiah Kiner-Falefa. Just his ability to do what he did, leading up to the George Springer home run. If that doesn't happen, if the Andres Gimenez bunt doesn't happen, I mean, yes, it didn't necessarily lead to anything, but that could have been a huge moment. And for those two guys to do the exact job you needed them to do in a massive moment, we've talked about this lineup from 1 to 9. It can be somebody else every single different night. And these guys did exactly what you needed them to do in the situation that they were put into.
What their motto's been all year. The bottom of the order gets on base. They start the inning. Addison Barger draws a walk. IKF. I thought it was a double play off the bat. Not going to lie. But IKF muscles one through the middle. And then Andres Gimenez just doing the job. Most obvious bunt situation of all time. But execution. That's exactly what you needed. You saw, I think it was earlier this game, right? That there was a bunt that was not executed properly. And they got the out at third base. Now, again, in a big spot. Probably the biggest spot in the game. We were talking, you get to Andres Munoz, even though Ernie Clement, gets hits off of them. They got 2 hits off Andres Munoz, the first 2 hits of the playoffs. Again, the Toronto Blue Jays just built different, you could say. But it felt like in that moment when George Springer hit that home run, that was the inning where you were going to have to score. Edward Bizzardo, again, as Justin would say, he looked a little bit stunned going into that game. That was a guy you had to take advantage of, the guy you had to jump all over. And the Toronto Blue Jays were able to do that. You don't test their luck with their best pitcher, their best closing pitcher at least. You get hits off of Edward Bizzardo, so credit to them for that. But is there anything else that you kind of want to jump into? I got one more thing about the Josh Naylor jump. I want to quickly talk about.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
I didn't want to go through this episode without getting over that. Credit to the umpires for getting this one right. I mean, it was very obvious, but this is one of those plays that for some reason it looks a little bit weird. Maybe Josh Naylor just pleading his case a little bit. This guy, is a little bit mischievous out there. Again, different time in this game as well, where a ball is thrown to first base and he kind of does that trick where it's a pass ball. He looks the other way, takes a few steps, always trying to get ahead. You got to respect the game at the end of the day. But yeah, Josh Naylor clearly just jumps into this ball being thrown by Ernie Clement, I believe it was, over to first base. So credit to the umpires for getting that call right. But yeah, it's some psychopath stuff from Josh Naylor, putting his face on the line and getting in the way of that throw.
Carter, I hate to say it, right? It's something that runs through your mind when you're running the bases. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like I haven't thought about it, right? When we used to play ball, it used to be, hey, you know what, you do anything you can. And that was before, the whole sliding rule came into effect where you don't try to break up plays. You slide through everything. You try to break those up. Not anymore. And so it's just crazy that he actually did that. And then I saw some Mariners fans that were saying, like, you guys were getting mad at us for cheering about George Springer getting hit, but then when you boo Naylor when he gets hit in the head by a ball, it's like he jumped into that. Like, he decided, I'm going to take this one to the dome. Like, that's the difference right there. And he was fine. He wasn't hurt. He was fine. So I'm happy for that too, that he didn't throw himself in that situation and something bad ended up happening. So that's good there too.
Yeah, I got like game respect game. If you're like they say, if you're not cheating, you aren't trying, right? So I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Yeah, you shout out to the Seattle Mariners fans for the George Springer boo in there. A little bit of a ricochet shot on that one. But yeah, I guess to end it off, Brayden, you got anything else to say? Just final thoughts, final feelings. Did you ever think we were going to be here? To be completely honest, start of the year, the middle of the year, maybe even going into the playoffs.
No, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I mean, when we look back at the start of this season, you guys can go and watch those podcasts. We weren't high, right? But this team draws us back in. And you know what? I hate to say this, but not to hate to say this. It's the most obvious thing of all time. But this is why we love the game, right? Like, there's people that I don't talk to about ball because they're just not ball people. And I've gotten, I don't know, 150 text messages today. Like, it was just wild. And I love that because, you know what? Maybe it's people that wouldn't watch the game, but know that me and you love it that much and they're tuning in if it's family members or friends. And, at least they know what's happening in baseball. And that's what I love. I grew up, watching games with my papa when I was younger, right? And sitting there watching the Blue Jays. My Nana was a Yankees fan. I don't even know how that household got, didn't burn to the ground. But sitting there watching with him, big moments like this reminds me of times like that. And, that's the love of the game. So I hope that, all of you out there that are listening to the podcast and, watching with your kids or your friends or your family this game, that you got to celebrate with them and have that moment, right? There's only a few that happens in sports, right, Carter? I mean, me and you can probably think back to the Vancouver Canucks when they went to the Stanley Cup final, the golden goal, McDavid in the World
Four Nations.
Four Nations. There you go. The Jose Bautista home run. There aren't a ton of these moments in your lifetime. So I hope everybody really got to enjoy this one. And the good thing is we can still look ahead to a World Series.
That's the craziest part is that, like, when we were thinking of when I was 13 at the time, Jose Bautista hits that home run. Maybe I'm thinking that maybe I'm 13-year-old still. Maybe not the most sound thought process of all time. My dumb head was probably thinking, like, this just happens all the time. Like, it's, you got Jose Bautista on the team. This is what he does, which I was kind of half right because that is what Jose Bautista did. But yeah, you don't get those moments every single day. It's been 10 years since that Jose Bautista home run. Then you look back previous, pretty much going back to 93, to be completely honest. So these things don't happen all the time. Cherish these moments while you have them, whether it's with your friends, your family, other Jays fans, maybe, even if you're cherishing the moments where you're making fun of Mariners fans at this point, enjoy the little things. And that's kind of where we're at. I got two more things to end this episode off. One is a quote from Kevin Gausman, just him describing his night. Again, I love the reactions from these players, the guys that we've seen for multiple years, grinding so hard, putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this team. This is how Kevin Gausman described the night. He said, "It's everything we've ever dreamed of as a kid. This is what you think about making the World Series, having a chance to play for a ring, a trophy, and the fact that it's with this group of guys makes it even that much more special." We said in day one of spring training that these guys are different. They're super unselfish, and I'm just happy for all of these guys. And I couldn't agree more, Kevin. You guys have completely earned it. You've blown Blue Jays fans away, to be completely honest, throughout this entire season. And now it's about the revenge game. Shohei Ohtani will be on that plane this time, coming back to Toronto. The Hiroki Sasaki Bowl, maybe Miles Straw will get his revenge. Who won the trade? Did Miles Straw on that side, were they the winners with the international bonus signing? Or maybe Hiroki Sasaki will get some of his revenge for some Blue Jays fans chirping him. We got a fun week coming up, a fun couple weeks ahead. Again, at least 4 more baseball games to be played against the Los Angeles Dodgers. You got the Shohei Ohtani rivalry. You got Hiroki Sasaki. Teoscar Hernandez is there. Freddie Freeman, the Canadian. Lots of storylines that we will be discussing all week long. I'm so excited for it. Absolutely terrified as well. But how can you not believe, if you haven't believed this entire season? Might as well jump on board now. You got 4 more games to do it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, pray to God. Hopefully. As always, guys, we appreciate every single one of you that tune in here. We love to see your comments, your thoughts, your messages to us. So appreciate everything and everything you guys have given us and the ability to do this podcast and want to do this podcast and get everything out there. So again, thanks to all of you. We'll see you guys tomorrow. A lot more to cover, a lot more to talk about. We're going to start teeing up this series, obviously. Today was more of a, hey, let's get out all the excitement because it's not over, right? Job's not finished. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.